Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hypervoice. I am Alex Underhill, and today, joining me on my left, I have...
I'm on the left. Hey guys, it's Chris Danzo.
And on the other side, the other left...
The other left.
Oh, right.
This is Justin Crubaugh.
So, both returning guests. Glad to have both you guys here with me. We're all hanging out together here at Anaheim, the World Championships, live. So, just kind of doing what we did last year. If you listen to our second episode from the Worlds last year, we had me, Steven, and Calvin kind of all talk about our experiences at Worlds. And so, kind of wanted to do the same thing just because it's kind of fun to record when we're all together, especially describing what it's like experiencing Worlds. So I guess to start, we could talk about travel. So I got in today. Justin, you got in today as well?
I did.
And then Chris, you got in yesterday?
Yeah, I got in yesterday. I was in LA for a day.
Okay, cool. So now we're all here in Anaheim. It's Thursday, the day before competition. And I don't know, there's not a whole lot to say because the best part is to come tomorrow. But we did get our Worlds bags, and that's always really fun. So around like 3:30, Justin and I and a couple other friends went and lined up and just kind of got ready to turn in our team sheets and such like that. Done. We're already set. Teams are locked. There are a couple of people who will be doing late arrival tomorrow. I don't.
Wolf's one of them, right?
Yeah, Wolf is one of them.
Wolf is one of them. Last year's world champion.
Yeah, so that's not going to be fun, and he's competing on day one. Just worth noting. But
Quick question: Do you know if Jamie Boyd got his day one or day two?
He's day 2, I think.
His day 2?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't.
I believe I have it right here, but
Do you have it right
let's just take a quick little. No, I don't have it. Never mind.
I'm pretty sure he's day 2.
I'm pretty sure he is too, but I couldn't keep track of it because I don't know all the Europeans. But I know there's 16 of them, right?
Yeah,
there's
there's
16
in
day
day
2.
There's no way he
yeah.
doesn't have it. I know it's like Yuri and Sanvi and all of them, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, never mind then.
But
Yeah, they all had to get their badges today as well.
yeah, so it seems like even day 2 competitors had to get badges, even if they're not turning in team sheets.
Yeah, if they wanted to come and watch the day 1 stuff,
They're gonna need a badge,
Need a
yeah.
badge to get in. So I saw Paul Chu in line.
Yeah.
We got second at Internats.
Something that's worth talking about, I think, that is really cool is this year everybody gets a spectator pass just for free. Obviously, because we have a much smaller Worlds, so it's a reasonable thing to do.
Question: Does the spectator pass get you in to like no matter what? Like if I lose day 1, I want to go day 2.
Yeah.
Can I? Is that I use that
What
one? or
you have
can
a
I
no? You have a
can just use your
competitor.
competitor.
So I have a
Competitor's good for
spectator
all
one
weekend.
whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
if you have a
So
friend
if you want
here
to
on
fly your
cam-
mom in,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll tell my mom right away. She'll come right over.
Or just like hang the plush around or hang
I'll
it around a plush
taking this
and then
Mimikyu.
just bring the plush. No, Kristen, do not take my Mimikyu plush.
take the Mimikyu plus.
So yeah, we just waited in line. We locked in our teams. I think we all are feeling ready. So I guess we could talk about that really quick. How are you guys feeling for tomorrow?
I'm anxious.
Yeah.
I've been practicing with pretty much the same team for, I would say, just right after Internats.
Mhm.
I started building this team, and I haven't changed much from it. So the original draft and everything that I've theoried up on it is working very well. But now it's just I'm nervous because did I make the right calls? Am I going to play well?
Mm-hmm,
I have expected matchups that Chris and I were talking about
mm-hmm.
before, and I have game plans for all of them, but how's it going to do? Am I going to even face those matchups?
Yeah.
It's a lot of waiting.
A lot of it will be in the moment, exactly remembering how you're going to tackle those. Something I also wanted to mention, and I'm okay with admitting it, is I definitely had a poor Internats run. I believe all of us had pretty poor Internats runs.
You'd be correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're all looking to kind of make a comeback here because, our own international didn't go very well for us. But
I'd say that's a good thing for me because
Yeah?
I had practiced way more for Worlds.
yeah, it would kind
Way
of
more.
pushed you,
Yeah.
Chris, how are you feeling?
I feel good. My team is pretty much everything that I wanted to do. Like
Mhm.
I had a lot of ideas going into Worlds, and I'm usually pretty good at calling what Worlds is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been like building and building and building, and I think I finally have something that really fits like everything I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I don't know. There's like a lot. Sorry. There's a lot of expected matchups that I feel like I'm going to do good against. It's just that, you never know what you're going to run into. Like, example, I think I have a pretty good matchup against everything, and then you run into something like, I don't know, what's the most random thing? Remember that Komodo Vanellix
Yeah.
Infinity team?
Or Palisand.
Something like our Palisand. Like, you run into something like that, and you're like, oh, well, I don't know what to do. So it's going to be interesting. Like, I think there's going to be a few teams that people look over, like maybe like Torkoal.
Yeah,
I feel like people might look over that, and I have a good match against that.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Card Trick Room, or things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually goes through. Like Geomancy Smeargle, it's going to go through.
You think? Yeah.
We're going to see one, man.
Throwback-
Japan is here.
Yeah.
Throwback to 2015, Nats round 1 against Paul. That was a really funny stream match to watch. I remember watching that live. But something that I did want to mention about what Chris was talking about is, sometimes when we try to build these teams for Worlds and we try to cover all our options, it spreads teams thin. And so basically every game you're going to have to be earning those wins. When you try to cover everything and not beat certain more popular matchups harder, you make your team more, like I said, spread thin. And so you're going to have to play well every single match. And so that's something that you should be expected at Worlds. You're going to want to put your all into every single match. But it's something to consider when you're building a very well-rounded team, is that you're not going to have any amazing matchups, at least not against every team. And so you're going to have to play.
Well, and what's crazy about that is you're going to have to play well every match because of how the team building process goes, especially in VGC 17.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, you're facing a comparable Worlds caliber player. I mean, if you think about it, there's less than 50 Americans invited to Worlds total, day 1 and day 2. So, like, that's the elite of the elite. That's the people that are having the best seasons and
Concentrated skill.
So both people are going to have to be playing their best, and it's just going to be fireworks.
Yeah, if I had to put it down, I've been saying it for a while. I think that the tournaments now for 2017, it's you have 30% team, 30% team matchup. So what you fight against throughout that tournament, and then 60% play. I think this tournament.
So that's math.
That's 120.
Chris puts 120% in.
Yeah, sorry,
Chris is just trying harder than the rest of us guys. Don't worry.
That's what I do. But it's mainly play. But obviously having good matchups and everything is good too. And I think that if you run into the right teams, some teams are gonna have Tapu Koko plus Arcanine, and they're gonna be like, okay, well, as long as I don't run into a Marowak, then I'm good. Well, a Marowak player is probably okay, I don't want to run into blank. You never
So the
know.
matchups. I've heard a lot of people complain about VGC 2017 being a bit of a matchup lottery, especially when you're trying to maybe build a team that is more competitive against standard things, and then you don't cover all the options like Ducks or Lilicole or Pheromosa Lele.
If there's one thing that I think that I'm pretty sure it was the Smogon crew, it's mainly Nick Navarre actually, who I believe said this. It's that for a format like this, and in general for Pokemon, instead of trying to cover these matchups, usually you want to have your own game plan, and then you go from there.
I love that he talked about that, and it's kind of being active instead of reactive. You know, just don't worry about covering all the options. Worry about executing your own strategy, and that way they're playing your game. They kind of have to react to what you're doing. And in general, things are going to go better that way if you're controlling the flow of the match.
And we've seen those succeed all the time. I mean, 2014, Sejun Park, he controlled the game with trapping the board, and then he would have the Pachirisu to follow me, and then he'd set up. And then 2016, the double fake out, so that way his Kyogre and his Rayquaza could do all the work. And even Nick back in 2016, I remember watching his 2016 games. He had his Clefairy team that he loved so much because he wanted to execute his own strategy, which was protect the Xerneas, set it up, and then try to sweep from there while forcing the opponent to try to break whatever he had, because he had really good board positions usually, and then it's hard to break that in a format like that. So he's been carrying all of his team ideas over, and it's really been working out for him. I was a little surprised by the Chansey team actually. I don't think the Chansey team was as proactive as all of the other teams have been. But I understand the idea behind it, and I mean he had his invite anyway. He got top 8 with the team somehow. Yeah. So I'm impressed. I like it, but I think if there's anything I learned from this format, it's that whatever team does well, it's not going to be one of these reactive teams, but instead it's going to be one of these proactive teams that has a strategy for things, but it mainly has its strategy is basically, if I fight this matchup, this is how I'm going to execute my game plan.
Yeah, I think that's kind of why I remember I was talking with Steven in the most recent episode, and he was saying he doesn't think a Tapu like Fini is going to be able to make it all the way just because it's a very reactive Tapu. It typically is slower than other Pokemon. Not the slowest of things, but it's often attacking later in the turn. Its terrain is more passive, and it has to deal with accuracy issues. It's just it's a Pokemon that, kind of sits there and maybe doesn't always carry its weight. It's a Pokemon that I've been a fan of for much of the season, but I've seen results, and so you see a lot more like Coco at the top, a Pokemon that, really drives games with its very hard-hitting offense and such a high base speed where, just shows that hitting first is a really strong strategy in this format, I believe.
But the question is, like, I've been seeing a lot of Togedemaru's and Marowaks running around, so is Coco actually the play for this tournament, or is everyone just going to, like, Kangaskhan 2014 it down to like
or Groudon in 2016
or 20 exactly. Is it going to be like this so popular and so strong that everyone has like this easy answer to it and all of a sudden you don't see it anymore?
See, I think we would have already seen that in this format if that were the case.
I don't know,
Coco's been going all year.
I know, but that's because everyone wants to use Coco. Everyone was like, okay, this is cool, but then you had someone like the Rajan team from Nationals. I think that team could have actually won the whole thing, and it didn't have a Coco. It just had answers to Coco with the stockpile, with the what's it called, the Bulu
double terrain
resets, like stuff like that. I think it's kind of like, I mean, like even then, like you have Lele and stuff, which is slower and it threatens a one shot with the terrain, and always beats the terrain, which makes it interesting. Like, is Coco actually like the Pokemon that is good enough to win Worlds, or is it going to be like the Bulu that some people are like hinting towards, or even Finny, because Finny's still, even though its terrain is like very support heavy. Finny can be a very support-heavy Pokemon.
Yes, so it doesn't always have to be that offensive role. It can just kind of support the rest of the team, like you had mentioned. Well, I would love to talk more metagame. I think we probably want to talk a little bit more about what we experienced today before we kind of wrap things up here and move on to the next day, which we'll talk about tomorrow night. I guess after we registered, locked our battle boxes, we got our Worlds t-shirts and bags. So, some cool stuff in there. What else did we see in there?
My favorite thing is the scarf.
Scarf
from last year, and there's a great scarf again this year.
Yeah. I think it's a really interesting touch. It's not something you would expect to see, like a Pokemon merchandise scarf.
You want to see a choice scarf on?
No, okay, maybe that's why they do it.
I have a question for you guys, because I didn't actually come last year because I didn't really like the format. But now obviously I'm here, and I got my first ever Worlds bag.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Was there any I heard something about like a water bottle? I don't know if you guys were like joking with.
Yeah, no. Last year they actually mixed the bags last year. You either got the water bottle bag or the hat bag. I personally got the hat bag, and it was a winter hat. This year we got more of a baseball type cap.
Yeah.
Yes.
That you maybe have seen like similar styles, but this one's Worlds themed at other regionals and things like that.
Yes. Cool hat.
Cool hat TM. And last year I was one of the lucky few to actually get to meet Masuda, because you had to be invited to meet him and then have him. You can have him.
It was like a bag
something.
raffle. You know, you opened your bag and you found a little slip, and it turns out they're actually doing it again this year. I saw somebody tweet out about it. I believe it was Yuri.
Oh, I check my bag.
We should check our bags after this. We'll let you guys know. But yeah, here's hoping. But really interesting. After looking at the bag and thinking about what it had last year, it actually seems to have less content than what we got last year. And I think that's really surprising considering how much smaller this Worlds is in comparison.
Do you get I never actually looked in there. Do we get like the card slips and everything?
Yes, so we get like a deck box as well as card sleeves. Yeah. So some very unnecessary stuff for VGC players, but very sellable. What
I want, and I know they do it every year, they have these Worlds books, like notebooks, and I know they sell them at the Pokemon Center, but as a VGC player, I remember I was scrambling to get my notebook.
Yeah. And
I was trying to find one because I forgot where I put mine. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait, don't I just get one from the bag?
Yeah.
Turns out I don't, and I really wish we did, because I really like getting the notebooks from here because they last a while. You can bring them to events. You can show people, hey, I was at the World Championships. But instead, you have to wait in the line. And the line was long.
Yes.
It was very long.
Yes. I went through with Dane Zeman, and with probably 2 to 2.5 hours waiting to get in.
Mm-hmm. And I went to get a shirt, just to get a extra shirt, one of the guest shirts. But we all have our competitor shirts that we got from here. All look pretty cool. Another blue shirt compared to what we got last year.
Everything's so blue.
Just very blue this year. We got blue bags.
They're cool bags, though.
They're very good. They're like a little bit mini. I think they're good because they're definitely a change from last year, but a little bit small. Still very fun. And then I think there was one other thing I mentioned, but no, I can't think of it right now.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
And I know this is probably not something I should be asking, but we all locked our boxes anyway, so who cares at this point?
Mm-hmm.
If there's one Pokemon you like, you're going into day one. We're all going into day one.
Yeah.
And we already talked about how we don't like certain matchups and everything.
Mm-hmm.
If there is one Pokemon / like little team competition that you would be like, oh, I don't want to see this, what would it be?
I would personally say Gigalith. Just because my team, I'm using a very slow team, and so if Gigalith is in Trick Room, then that's going to annoy me. And so that's probably just the one Pokemon I can think of, as well as other slow things. But in general, I feel ready for most things. Like we were talking about earlier, active versus reactive. I feel like my team's very active. I guess that's something else to mention really quick before we do wrap up, is I never actually talked about how I'm feeling for Worlds, but I picked my team last Monday. This is Thursday now as we're recording, so I've known for a little over a week, and it's something. Yeah, you wrapped it up almost 4 hours before.
Yeah, before he came here, I wrapped it up in my head, and I was like, okay, get in my game, we're good.
Mm-hmm. So I knew that, and then I've done a couple of practice sets, and it's going well, I would say. So I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be a very fun Worlds. That's something I'm really looking forward to. I really hope that, even though it's cheesy and I don't encourage people to, look for special snowflake Pokemon, I really do hope people flex their creativity here at this Worlds. We're gonna expect to see the most popular Pokemon do the best, but I do want to see some of these very, very strong, very intelligent players, reach out there and find interesting answers to the most popular things in the metagame and shine.
I think for me, my hardest matchup is strangely also Gigalith, and maybe for different reasons. It just makes me have to play pretty perfect. But I mean, I have my answers to it, but it's one that in playtesting over the last month or so that gave this team a little bit of trouble. But it's still doable. But I didn't like facing Gigalith, so maybe Gigalith.
Mine would probably be. I had to give one.
Is it Gigalith?
It's not Gigalith is actually not that bad for my team. I have my answers for that. Luckily, because that thing's scary and it's on fake PG, and I don't.
Yeah.
I could see at least 3 fake PGs being running around in there.
At least 3. There's gonna be more than
that,
that, Chris.
I mean by 3 as in
Variants?
I could see myself fighting 3 of them.
Oh yes.
Throughout the event, I could see myself maybe around 2, 4, and if I get there 7 or something, maybe if I even have to do 7.
Yeah,
because it's gonna be 6 rounds, I think.
8 rounds.
6 rounds for you when you go 6-0, right?
When you go 6-0.
Yeah,
you go 6-0 because you're Chris Danzo.
We're having that race for 03 though, right?
Yeah, 03 drop.
03. Who can get to the table faster?
No, to be honest, I know Marowak's a very common Pokemon, and I have my ways out, but at the same time, something like Marowak plus Marowak plus Gastrodon can be kind of annoying, actually.
It's kind of silly, but yeah.
Or Marowak plus Hail is really, really annoying.
Okay.
I hate fighting Marowak plus Hail because that thing stomps every idea I have for it. Besides one, but
it does stop a lot of common counters to the Ninetales setup.
Well, I think that's probably about all that we want to talk about tonight. What's up?
One more thing. What was your first impressions of Anaheim?
Oh, it's beautiful. This is my first time in California. The last time I was on the West Coast, I was 5.
Really?
And I was in Arizona. So this is my first time in California. I was in LA for a day. It was beautiful. The weather is nice. I heard there was it was up to the hundreds before we got here. So Pokemon picked the perfect days to come. And it's beautiful. I don't know. I like it. Everything's close. It's just a little expensive because we're by Disney.
Yeah, Disney is really racking up the prices.
Yeah. But I like it. I really like it. I kind of want to come back another time. But I'm hoping
There's a regional this year.
Or just next Worlds.
But no. East Coast Worlds, please.
I
Give
know.
us something closer.
Yeah, I was going to say the last time I was in California was a year ago for Worlds, and really holding out that we don't get a third California Worlds, even though that would probably just be a crazy joke. Anyway, I'm loving California. The weather's been really nice. I feel like the area that we're in just feels a lot, I don't know, I like the atmosphere more than when we were in San Francisco. It's just like, it's interesting. It's like calm and cool, and lots of cool places to eat, I think, but it's all going to be very, very expensive.
Too.
Yeah. For some reason, San Francisco was chilly.
Cold. Yeah,
it was chilly.
And I'm loving Anaheim. I'm loving the weather, the atmosphere around the town, the location of the convention center near so near so many hotels and food that we can just walk around everywhere. And it was really cool actually when I first met up with Alex to get into the room. We went out for lunch. And we were walking around, and the atmosphere with just the Pokemon players in the area, we saw, I don't know, maybe 10 people we knew, and we just hung out and had lunch just at the food trucks.
We got to talk to the Aaron Zhang.
This is true.
Aaron Cybertron. Cybertron Zhang?
Yes, him.
Not the imposter.
Oh my god. You fanboyed.
Yeah, I did. As always, just big Aaron Zhang fan.
Oh, and Chase Live. I was so happy to see Chase.
Is he here?
Yeah, he's here.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
I heard that if we want him to play this season in the Open, we need Gio to get through day 1.
Okay.
So if Gio gets through day 1, we'll see Chase back. If not, then I'll be sad. But
okay, well then if you face Gio, you can throw. Me, I'm personally just going to try to beat him down just like everybody else.
No, I heard Gio has like a crazy... I'm excited.
All right.
I'm really excited for today and for tomorrow.
I think we're all very excited to compete, and like Justin said earlier, a bit anxious. There's a lot on the line. It's going to be really cool to see if any of us can make it through day 1. We'll be sure to let you guys know tomorrow. I think the first thing that we're all probably looking forward to is the opening ceremony. That's going to be really cool. I remember last year, like one of the most memorable moments was that Crubaugh trailer.
Oh,
did you see that on stream, Chris?
Yeah, I did see that. I forgot they released stuff.
Punching everything you hated.
Yeah, exactly. Like beating down Smeargle and Kang, like
and Landorus.
Where is he now?
Yeah.
Where is he? Oh, next format.
Yeah.
Landorus. Okay, never mind. We'll come back. He'll be around. Why did that thing beat everything up? He has an evolution.
I know, it was so silly. They just wanted to show off Crubaugh, but...
I respect it.
It was cool, They had to keep some things secret. But, yeah, I think that's really about it for what happened today. We got to check out the Pokemon Center, but long lines, stuff like that. And tomorrow, competition starts. When we come back to you, we'll have played all of our Day 1 Swiss rounds and know who is... made it through to day 2. I believe you said we don't know exactly what the attendance is. We'll probably learn tomorrow morning, but we're expecting like 20-ish people to make it through out of day 1 of the 100, like 20 plus range. That's what we're looking at. So,
according to my calculations, around 20. So.
Okay, yeah. So it's gonna be pretty tight. We're really condensing the competition. It's gonna be high pressure. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Great to watch. So I know this is going to be after the event has happened, but if you haven't watched the stream, definitely go back and watch it because the world stream is always something really cool to watch. Lots of great matches. These are the highest level players. So I think that's it for us, but we'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, Alola. All right, guys, and welcome back. We're here tonight. It's the post day 1. We talked about day 0 yesterday. I forgot to mention because Thursday is technically just getting things set up. We're all registering, locking battle boxes and stuff. I did mention that already. But now we're on day 1, post Friday's competition. So this is where the large majority of the players who got invites were competing, and they were slimmed down all the way down to 32. From what was do you guys know our total?
It's like 140.
Around 140. Yeah. So yeah, we went from 140 to 32 people that made it through the day 1 competition. And that, if you want to see a list of all the names, we're not going to read all 32 here to you, but that can be found on Trainer Tower. Just find it on the front page. And yeah, really cool. So I guess personally, we saw 2 of the 3 of us make it through. Chris?
Must be nice, you guys.
This is how our stories always come. Remember last time when it was you, me, and Danny, and we both got our invites and Danny didn't? And
Yeah, that's a good point.
2 of us got our invites this weekend and Danny was like, thanks. So,
yeah. No, I'm happy for you guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate it, and you've been helpful, just in terms of motivation and such, and team building things.
I think that there's a lot of good players that missed out on it. Like,
there's always gonna be.
It was hard.
Not everybody can make it,
Yeah. So I wouldn't think of any less of anyone who didn't make it. So.
Yeah, this year felt like an accomplishment just to get to day one.
Exactly.
So. That's what I like about it.
You think about it, you're one of 45 Americans to actually get it. So
yeah, it's
tough invite structure, really cool.
But next year.
Not actually free CP next year. Yeah.
So Chris, let's talk a little bit about your day.
Me.
So you made it out at 5-0. You went undefeated in sets. How are you feeling?
Yeah, Chris, what does it feel like to be amazing?
Yeah, basically.
I'm not amazing yet. I could go 5-0 today and then go 0-3 tomorrow, so I had to actually prepare,
Mm-hmm.
Going 5-0, that was the goal. I've been I've even had dreams about this, to be honest. So if I'm going to be straight up, I had dreams where I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh no, I thought I was 5-0. I was so excited. It's a dream because after you go 5-0, it's just like a weight's off your shoulder and you can watch your friends and you can do a little scouting. I got to see some really cool techs that people are running. I got to see some cool teams. I got to support my friends like Alex.
Mm-hmm,
Alex did. I got to support Danny. I got to support Justin. Overall, the day itself, I remember round 1, I won very convincingly in my first game. And I actually lost game 2 because I didn't play optimally because I started underestimating him. And I was like, no, I can't do this. Is Worlds. What am I doing? Mm-hmm. So that's when I realized I got to step my game up.
Yeah.
So I ended up beating him game 3 again, pretty convincingly. And then I went on to play a Japanese player. That game was pretty tight. He had Guillotine.
Oh, that's cool.
He had Guillotine Kartana, but it wasn't Scarf, it wasn't Assault Vest, it was Detect. So it was double attack Guillotine.
You don't need Sword Stance, you don't need Sub, you just take your Okos.
Exactly, it was scary. I didn't know what to do. He ended up actually triple critting me a game 1 to win the game.
He's critting you and not just Okoing you?
Not with Kartana either. He triple.
Oh, I see.
It was bad. And then, but I was a little nervous. But then after that, because I don't have any experience playing Japanese players besides in ladder, so I've never played any of these top Japanese players. Or at least I don't think I have.
Mm-hmm.
So that was new to me. That was cool. So I played Mexico round 1, and then Japan round 2, which was interesting. Then round 3, I played Korea. And I actually played the guy who made it through, the one Korean.
Yeah, so that was your only opponent, you said, that ended up making it to the second day.
Yes, that was my only opponent who made it to the second day. He had the pulverizing pancakes.
That's amazing.
His team was wonky. He had Protect 3 attack P2, Curse. I don't think it was even a Z move on the Mimikyu. He had Aurora Encore, Ninetales, Flamethrower, Muck.
That team sounds super fire.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
He was all over the place with that team. I'm actually kind of
happy. Not a single Mon without a surprise set.
Exactly. He had
and this was Japan?
No, this was Korea.
This was Korea.
The one Korean to make it through. And then round 4 was a mess. If you guys watch the stream, you already know what happened. I played Danny, and it was
that was heartbreaking.
It was a very heartbreaking set. And I just won't get into that. It was just kind of upsetting. And then round 5, I played Dane, actually.
Yeah.
And Dane had a team that I was kind of scared of. But I played pretty optimally against it, so I think I was fine. And then that was my day. Overall, first half of the day was definitely a lot scarier than the second half, but the second half was probably a little more I guess dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
But then as soon as it was over, I felt free. I got a lot of
a lot of pressure lifted off of you.
Yeah. It was nice. And I guess going 5-0 is a dream. It's really hard to do. I think I saw there was only 5 of us who did it.
Yeah, we have the list here, and
I'm pretty sure it was me, Alvin, 2 Japanese players. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the names, and the one Peruvian, Sebastian.
There's Peruvian. 2 Peruvians.
Yeah, but Sebastian, the guy who came out of nowhere and actually did it, he was impressive.
Out of nowhere.
I don't know if he's actually someone known.
No, a lot of people are referring to him as the other Sebas because he's another Sebastian, and the last name does look kind of like baseball. But Justin, how were things for you today?
My day was a lot quicker, and it didn't go as well as planned. As I told you guys earlier in the podcast, in the Day Zero podcast, the thing I didn't want to face was Giglith, and I faced that first round. I thought I played pretty optimally and brought it down to 50-50 in Game 3. And then the next few rounds, a series of really, really unfortunate events happened, and to really better explain it, I just have you go out to my Twitter and read it. There's a whole pay spin of it at iMagikartVGC, and it's worth your time. And I think what the important takeaway is like, bad things can happen in Pokemon. I know that. I played this game long enough. I've been on the end of really bad hacks before. And I know Chris has as well. And
we both here.
We're both receivers of legendary hackouts. And I took a different approach to it, and being okay with losing and understanding the game that we play, instead of crying about it and saying that I'm going to quit and cause drama that way. It just motivates me to get better and come back stronger next year. And so I'm going to start and play in the Anaheim Open tomorrow. So it'll be a fun perspective for the later in the podcast when we go to Day 2, and you guys will be talking about Day 2 Worlds, and I'll be talking about the Anaheim Open. So it'll be good.
And I think that's a really important mentality for people to take away, is that even if you have crushing defeats, just use it to push you further. We see a lot of, I'm sorry to say, but we do see a lot of whiners, like basically every year after the major events, nationals and worlds, where they're just like, I'm done with VGC forever, and then the next regional comes and you're like, oh, you're here. Well, the people don't end up quitting. Like, just, you can say that out loud. You can be like,
you can be frustrated in that.
Yeah. But like, you don't need to be a drama queen about it. Like, just sometimes somebody has your number. Like,
and sometimes
you can be on and off.
Sometimes the game just decides, it's not your day. And in order for you to have a good day, a lot of things got to line up properly, you gotta, sometimes you think and you're starting to rely on crits, or you're hoping to not get crit, and these things don't happen, and so it goes your way and it breaks your way. And to have deep runs, you gotta have it all go your way, I think. And I've had deep runs, and that's what happens. And I think that's just important to look at the game that way instead of complaining. So
I think something important for Pokemon and in competitive games in general is to know when you need to take a break. Last year I didn't actually go to Worlds because of Madison, like, it didn't affect me as badly as it probably sounds like it did.
And that was a good event for me.
No, not Madison. I'm sorry. I keep saying Madison. Massachusetts.
I was like, did you even go to Madison?
No. Massachusetts, the Ashton game. Everyone knows the famous game that whenever someone talks to me, they're like, "Oh wait, I remember you." I'm like, "Yeah."
Thanks. Yeah, I get remembered for the Conan games. So.
Those are the famous ones, and they're streamed.
And in general, I've noticed you gotta know sometimes it's best to take a break and take a breather, because if you keep forcing it too much, you're gonna get more and more salty about it, and you're not gonna want to play more and more. So I think actually taking a break from 2016 and not going to Worlds, even though I got my invite, was probably one of the better things I could have done. Because going into 2017, I was like, okay, I'm going to put my all into this year. I took my break. I feel confident. I feel comfortable. And I know I can do it. And I know Chase, actually, last year's national champion, he actually told me that he wanted to take a break. And he even had that little speech of, gotta know when you're not going to, you don't feel like you're going to enjoy it as much. So that way when you come back, you'll only have the good times and everything. You'll know when you want to try your hardest.
Yeah, and I think an important message I have for people out there that have hard luck is you got to remember that your results at tournaments don't define who you are. I mean, it doesn't make me a worse player or a bad person, or I don't think Chris or Alex looked down at me as a player.
Definitely not.
For not performing as well as I could have, or I think I should have. It doesn't define who you are. You're still somebody else, and Pokemon does not relate to who you are. So, I mean, it's just a fun game we play.
I remember at the last event that I attended before Nats, it was like a PC, and I actually got dead last. It was pretty funny. And then at Nats, I went 1-3 and dropped. But here I am. I guess I didn't really talk about how I did. I won't go into a ton of detail, but I ended up losing the first round, and then from there going on to win a couple of games, make it on stream versus Wolf and get bodied. You can go back and watch that. It was hilarious. I went for rock slide and flinched a lot. And then won the last round against Jonathan Evans. So I did make it to the second day with a team that I'm very happy with. It's a really crazy team that I've used in the past, and since it's out in the open and this is going to be uploaded obviously after Worlds, it's the Lucario Drampa team that I used to win a midseason showdown.
It's all about Lucario in day 2.
Yeah, Lucario and no Taboos and Ultra Beast. I get to be a super hipster representing all those people that are like, oh, why do we use Legends?
Yeah, no Arcanine.
No Arcanine.
Coco.
No Intimidate.
Well, to be
no
fair,
terrains.
Both California events have been won by Zero Tapu, Zero UBs.
Yeah, that's actually, it's Hard Trick Room. Gavin won both his California regionals with Hard Trick Room, so that was another reason that I felt cool bringing this team, as I was like, well, Hard Trick Room in California has been proven to be successful in the past. In terms of my schedule, though...
It's funny that your World's prediction was you said 2 Tapus was going to win.
I know.
You're running 0.
I remember that.
I knew when I said that I was bringing this team. Yeah, I know you have 2 Taboos, but no, I like... It's one of those things where you feel like, do you pick yourself because you want to like believe in yourself and say like, I think I could win, so I'll say I think Zero Tapus is going to win because I have that. But it was my honest answer. I feel like 2 Tapus is just the way that it's going to play out, and I still don't count myself out because I have a really
is that like
weird
the
team,
question of like comfort versus the play?
The play. No, I don't think it's related to that, but that was a sort of discussion on its own. We could probably talk way too much about that. And then the one thing that I wanted to say about my run before we move on is I got a really cool schedule, I think. Like, I played players from all over in the first 5 rounds, and then in the last 2, I played both Worlds finalists. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah.
I played against Wolf and lost, and then I played against Jonathan Evans the next round, so I was like, this is a really weird coincidence. How does that even happen? So
that's crazy.
So that's fun, as well as, yeah, like I said before, a ton of foreign people, Taiwan, Malaysia, people that I'm never going to get the chance to play anywhere else but here. So really cool. And I guess, you know, I know we talked about our events, and we kind of skipped past something that I think was worth talking about. So we're going to rewind back to the very beginning of the day when we got to the convention center. We didn't talk about the opening ceremony.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was fun.
I'm not going to lie, the part that really got me was when they went through and they had like the little hype music and they were showing each country.
Yes.
And there was like one champion. I'm like, oh, that could be me actually. Like,
yeah.
There's so many people here from all over, and yet we're all playing the same game, and I get a chance to like prove myself to them.
Yeah.
All right, we got to talk about the one thing. I know we might be jumping ahead.
No,
but Geomancy Komodo, come on, guys.
Spread Oko move Geomancy.
Oh my god.
Spread double damage Geomancy. That's what we needed, right?
Is it times 2 or times 1?
It's times 1.
Okay. I thought you were.
It's +1, but it's like instead of getting +2, you're killing stuff.
I heard it does. It's almost like having like a surf. It's like. It's like spread all 3 ways. It's like
no, really?
Yeah, I heard it was all 3. Pokemon.
That's fine. You can just do it next to your Tafu and you're fine.
Well, I was thinking Clefairy because you can just follow me away and then do that kind of stuff. Heal pulse it.
Probably gonna want like a fairy with wide guard because you're gonna get dazzling gleam if you're using Como.
That's why you run Clefairy, because you should live it.
Everybody's gonna be. I think the early meta signs. I know this is super early leaks and stuff, but it's gonna be like your fairies and your anti-Komodos and then your anti-fairy, and then like there's gonna be like a little more centralized.
If I'm gonna be straight up honest, just because like I know we're all hyped about it, and I know it seemed crazy, and it is kind of crazy that they're actually, because like the whole entire thing about like moves versus like the option, like the setup options like EV and stuff, was that like you had either the damage option or the setup option, and we're like the reason it's balanced is because they don't have both together. But now they added both together, so we're like freaking out.
And spread.
On top of being spread.
And spread. Like everything they showed, it was basically like they took, when they did TCG, it seemed they hinted at something that might be strong, like might be almost overpowered, which is like affecting the prize, which I know a lot of people probably don't know about TCG, but those were pretty cool, and that whole entire trailer is cool. And then they just went like, yo, okay, so this might be overpowered. It could be. But wait, we're not going to give you a trailer, nothing. We're just going straight in. Here you go. Take this. Top of Komodo, killing everything on the field and then getting a boost. But what I was trying to get at is despite how crazy it may seem, it's still Komodo.
Yeah.
It's still quadly to
It's still a dragon move. We all know what happens to Z Dragon. So if you have like a Finny, then it's gonna be landed, and I'm pretty sure we're not actually gonna see much of it. As crazy it may seem, it seems like the only way you could run it. But I could honestly see like maybe like one or two like cheese teams where you see a Komodo and you're like, oh, I know what's about to happen to me.
Yeah.
But then you have your answer to it. So it might be like a little bit like EV was, where we were like, oh shoot, this is gonna be scary.
I just think we don't have all the information yet.
Exactly.
We don't know its base power. We don't know if it still boosts you if you hit a fairy or immunity or whatever, something like that. Yeah, or if you hit into a protect.
You know, and we're getting into a little speculation, but like the turning of the Z crystal, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to get more spread Z moves too? Like,
maybe that's or they're like just more signature ones.
Yeah, more signature ones or more spread ones. Like, it could be interesting.
They're gonna get that Z like top Finny or something like Z move that's just gonna hit everything on the field. It's gonna give it ×6 in every stat. And
×6 in every stat.
Interesting.
Why?
Because it seems like we're getting to that point, right?
Where we're just getting
speed creep or power creep.
Power creep.
We're getting to the power creep point where they're trying to give us like these.
They're gonna add like +12 tiers instead. Now you can get all the way to +12.
It's interesting. It's like I wonder what the thought process behind. Cause Komodo is like the signature dragon. I understand the clang scales and whatever, but I wonder what the idea behind making something like this that seems so strong for a Pokemon like that.
There's probably some balance to it, but we should probably try to gear this more towards the world's perspective because that's a bit what we're trying to
go on about this for a while.
Yeah,
that was a big part of World. So
it was just fun.
Freaked out.
Oh, that was easily the most hype announcement.
Yeah, and I feel like we always get the most on the stream, and I feel like we also get the most hype in the venue. Like our announcements get us really excited versus. Those TCG players, they're all just like bored and asleep.
They take TCG and they give them like the super hype like trailer and everything, where it's like, oh, that was cool, and then literally they just like threw Komodo in our face and was like, hey, check this out, spread Z move, gets boosted, and we all freaked out.
And the Z move took forever. It was like comparable to Eevee's length.
He was just like doing this.
He was dancing around. The name was hilarious. The animation was awesome. Just really cool. Really cool announcements. I think that really summarizes what the opening ceremony was like. And then, so something else that I think is worth talking about is towards the end of the day, we got to see a lot of VGC stream matches. We had the mainstream and the side stream. Side stream obviously goes all day, but the mainstream was, running towards the end of the day. We got all of our, a lot of contention matches were streamed to watch.
That was fun.
And those are always the heartbreaking ones to see who makes it to day 2, who doesn't. So those are really cool. They streamed. Started. Yeah, I didn't get to see some great results either. My heartbreaker matches were heartbreaks. But yeah, so that was really cool, and I think the stream seemed pretty cool. Obviously, I can't give a whole lot because a whole lot of feedback on it because we were obviously playing. So. But the setup looks cool. And then also, I guess, something we talk about now, because yesterday when we did bag pickup, we were in the hotel, the Marriott, where they're hosting all the players that got travel awards and such. But we're now in the convention center. We got to check it out now. What do you guys think of it?
It's a big place. It's a lot nicer than last year. It feels like we have room to walk.
Yeah, it helps that there are a lot less invites.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this size of the room could have fit last year's pretty easily.
Yeah, it's a big place that people were thinking wow, this world seems so empty, but it's really just the size of the venue, and I think it's nice to have everything a little bit more spread out. We can breathe a little bit.
Also, bathrooms everywhere.
So many bathrooms.
Really nice.
So there's no lines. That's great.
Yeah.
I think.
What are you thinking, Chris?
I wasn't here last year, so.
But no, you don't have to compare it to. What do you think of the venue?
The venue, I've been to every single World besides 20. I've been to 2014, 2015, and now 27. All right, 2014, 2015. Yeah, 2014, 2015, 2017.
Worlds or Nats?
Worlds.
You've been to the Worlds?
I haven't played in them. 2014, I was 2014 and 15, I didn't actually qualify. I just went because,
okay. I didn't know that about you. That's cool. That's really cool.
I was at those two, and the venues were actually, they were interesting, but they felt kind of, suffocated in a way. This is the first one where I walked in, and everything just seems so clear to me. Mm-hmm. And it's I like a lot of the things they have going on. I liked the feeling you have walking in with like I see like little pine trees and stuff like running around.
The atmosphere, yeah.
The atmosphere is great. There's like this
palm trees or pine trees.
I think was it.
You said pine trees.
I don't know what I meant. Oh, whatever. I'm tired. It's been a long day. There was this
3 a.m. on the East Coast.
This is true.
There's like this Lego
that was so good.
Pokemon statue thing. That's so
definitely
cool.
Look up pictures of like some of what the venue had because there was a lot of cool things in there. We have our traditional like posters hanging from the ceiling, but they're brand new ones that they busted out for Worlds. What's up?
Something we didn't talk about with the opening ceremony in general. They have like this whole entire setup, and it's like they have clouds, and like they have the sun and the moon, and like when the sun's coming out, like there shows like a
sunset effect.
It shows like a sunset effect, and if the moon's there, then it gets darker and everything. I like that. It's like they have, like moving.
The
clouds.
lighting was cool.
Yeah, in general, I think they did a good job with the whole entire setup. I never actually got on the official stream, so I wouldn't actually get to know how it was like up there. Mm-hmm. But I guess I was on the official stream, but I wasn't on like the stage.
Yeah, I got to be on the stage, and like. It's just everything like normal. It's nothing too special, you know.
You have to walk out to your name though.
Yeah, that's true. Like I was not ready. They just kind of like prompt you, like, all right, when I give you like a little tap, you just go. And then like he didn't say anything, so Wolf was sent out, and I just assumed Wolf was still standing behind me. And then I got my little tap, and I was like, Wolf's gone. What? I didn't even notice he left. And so then walked out. But it's nothing too special. I've been on the stream stages before, and I don't think it's a big difference between the side or the main one.
I actually haven't been on it yet.
I've been on them before, and it's really not.
These guys are special.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying like, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference.
It doesn't. One thing, because I wasn't on stream today, I just wanted to make sure, like, you guys were on stream. You couldn't hear the announcers or anything in the headphones.
No,
they
were
good still.
Yeah.
To be fair though, like my stream matches were really weird because Dane I didn't actually get streamed with. They just put us over there when we had like to sit there.
Your backup stream.
Yeah.
But they didn't have us play on the stream. Yes, they just were like because my for some reason my cartridge when they try to put it in it doesn't connect.
Oh.
It's really weird.
They don't like you, I guess.
It works for everyone else but mine for some reason. So I don't know what's wrong with my cartridge.
You bought a faulty cartridge.
I didn't buy it. I borrowed it. So.
Bootleg. Oh, that's true.
But one thing I wanted to mention, and it's probably not something I have to mention, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Anna, I got to get the interview for her.
Oh, the interview, yes.
Yeah. I'm actually a StarCraft fan, so I've been watching like her back when she was announcing for StarCraft back when I was like, what?
Oh, I see.
Ago.
Okay. I didn't know her history. That's cool.
So this was before 2014. Mm-hmm. So like I talked to her about that. I actually know of her husband. Like he's a caster now. He used to be a StarCraft pro.
Yeah.
And it was cool. I got to talk to her a little bit, and she was actually really nice. She was. I expected to be like very like. Okay, this is what we gotta do. Like it's strict, but they were all really cool back there in the interviews. Mm-hmm. And like I said, she was nice. Everyone back there was nice. The only thing that caught me off guard was I was in the middle of talking to her. And then all of a sudden, she like started saying, "Hello, everyone." And I was like, "Oh wait, I gotta stop talking."
She did say like at the beginning, we were just talking about some esports. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, what did you mean? What? I was so thrown off.
I was thrown off.
Definitely go check out Chris's interview. It was really sweet. I was tearing up a bit because Chris is just such a sweetie.
He's a good guy.
I think that pretty much highlights all the main events for day 2. We are kind of running a bit long for just, or this is day 1. Yeah, we still have to talk about finals and, day 2 and all of that. So, probably going to wrap things up now before we get too carried away. Did we hit everything, you think?
There is one thing you wanted to talk about that you didn't hit.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk at all about the number.
The people who made it, yeah.
The number of invites and stuff.
Yeah.
But
so what ended up, I'll summarize it really quick. So what ended up happening is about 32 people got in. So it should have been 8 rounds with the number of people we had. Mm-hmm. But what they did is they did Swiss rounds -1.
They didn't tell us that.
They didn't tell us before.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, so we only played 7 rounds today when we should have been playing 8. So what that actually meant from a numbers perspective is that about 10 more people got into day 2 than would have.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was a cool change. I like the change, but it was a little jarring to hear right when you're playing.
When you're like sitting there and you're just like 7 rounds, that's not right. And then but it's a positive change, just positive, but at poor timing. We would have liked to know that in advance.
Correct.
And so just quick rundown of the numbers. We saw 10 U.S. players move on, 12 Japanese. 2 from Peru, 1 from Czech Republic, 1 from Portugal, Spain, the Netherlands, Italy, Korea, Germany, and Thailand. And so, in terms of the regions, sorry, I apologize if I'm wrong, but from NA we have 10, APAC had 1, EU has 6, LATAM, I'm still learning how to pronounce that one, but they had 2, and then Japan and Korea I have listed as their own regions because they have kind of unique qualification structures, and they had 12 and 1.
I'm pretty sure that means that the US is at 18, Japan's at 20, or they're at 19 because the one guy didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Europe's at, what was that be, 22.
22, yeah.
APAC's at
10.
Are they at 10?
Yeah, 10, they were 8, yeah.
Assuming they all showed up.
Okay. And then LATAM's at 10. And then, did you guys know if Peffin made it through?
He didn't? I don't know.
I don't think he did. No, we have the list here, and I did not see his name in there, so nope, he did not.
Okay. I don't know. It's kind of like what I expected. Japan's really strong, and in a format like this, where like you can like have these like interesting tricks with their team, it makes a lot of sense that they'd like kind of throw you off. Like I said, I played Guillotine today.
Yeah.
With my Japanese
and Pulverizing Pancake.
Yeah, but that was Korea. The one Korean to make it through had Pulverizing Pancakes. The lax of laxes.
That's really awesome. Unfortunate that Snorlax has so many better things to do, but Pulverizing Pancake is hilarious, and I envy you getting to see that animation. I think we'll wrap it up though. Like, we'll be talking about more about this stuff, especially tomorrow when we get to see how day 2 wraps up. Chris and I will both be playing. Justin, you're going to be doing the Open.
Sure am.
So you'll be talking about how that goes. And I look forward to it. And yeah, just stay tuned for tomorrow. We'll check in with you guys tomorrow night. Hello, we're back, guys, here from the second day of the World Championships here in Anaheim. We concluded day 2 play and played all the way up to finals. So if you, once again, didn't tune into the stream, we're going to be talking about lots of the stuff that happened on there. So I probably should have warned people of spoilers earlier than this point. But yeah, we'll be spoiling things. But we're going to start by talking about our personal experiences. Chris and I started on day 2, and Justin started playing in the Anaheim Open. So, yeah, I guess I'll start this time to mix things up. I started out 0-3. It was a really rough turn of events. The first game I got...
I know the feels, man.
Yeah. It was my turn now. I started out with a fair loss round 1, and then a fair loss round 2, both 3-game sets, and then the last round I lost to a double protect on the end of the game 3. And so I was like, well, okay. And I was thinking, I kind of want to drop, but I wanted to be in the standings. I wanted people to see that I was the only person using Drampa in the tournament, because you would think I would be the only person using Lucario in the tournament, but for some reason Marcus brought Lucario as well, and I could be partially responsible for that, maybe. I don't know.
He's still talked to him about that team. The idea behind the Lucario was it was basically a pseudo follow me user because it redirects poison attacks from him, and it also hits things pretty hard with close combat.
Yeah.
So it was a cool idea. I respected it.
It can redirect Nihilego's attacks really well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of interesting, but kind of funny. Like, it reminds me back when I used Palossand, and then a day later he also used Palossand.
He's a copier.
Just kind of funny little connections between me and Marcus there, I guess. And then I played the rest of the day and finished 3-4. Faced another opposing hard trick room. That was cool. And then, yeah, that was really all I have to say about it. I got to play a lot more foreign players, which is really, really cool. I played against, my first Japanese opponent, which is something that I really wanted to do at this Worlds, and I didn't get to experience it in the first day, and unfortunately on the second day, it was, when I was way out of the tournament, I was sitting at, I think, 1-4, or maybe worse, but we both had a very good time. He spoke a little bit of English, and we were both just, praying for hacks the whole game, just, openly in front of each other. It was really fun. So, Chris, what was, for you today?
So one of the first things I want to say is I went in with a change to my team. I actually made 2 changes. One of them I thought was a better change. One of them I was kind of just like, I threw like everything out. Like I was just like, okay, I believe in this, so let's see if it works out. I didn't think about it as hard as I probably should have. Basically what ended up happening was I had a Mimikyu with Fairy MZ, and it was play rough, and it was like fast Shadow Sneak one. And then I saw Wolf's Mimikyu, and it covered a lot of the matchups that I was iffy against. I could beat these matchups, but it was like, if I had a way of fixing it, I would love to. So I took the Shadow Ball one with Destiny Bond, and I went Ghostium, and I was like, okay, everyone keeps telling me there's going to be a lot of Marowaks and a lot of Metagross, and there was actually a lot of Metagross and Marowaks running around yesterday. However, I only fought one. I started off the day fighting against, of course, a U.S. player. That's the one thing I didn't want. I wanted to enjoy it playing against everyone else.
Yeah.
But my first round opponent is a U.S. player in Tommy Coolian. He ran the Bring Ducks. And that was, as soon as I saw his team, I was kind of bummed because I realized, my Mimikyu was like so good in this matchup.
Yeah, the old one.
Yeah. And he made good plays, but overall I kind of felt like I was in a weird spot because I just didn't have my easy Mimikyu option that I used to always have. But, oh well, nothing you can do. That was my own fault for changing the team. He played well too, so nothing taken away from him. He got a freeze, game 2 actually. But all it did was like I had a slight win con, and now I had no win con. But I'm not calling hacks on him. He played well. Then round 2, I played Gavin Michaels again, another American. Yeah. And at this point, I knew I wasn't all there because like against Tommy, I made like a subpar play where I Z moved in turn 1. Even though I doubled the slot anyway, and I KO'd anything on the team that came in. So I don't know why I was playing suboptimally. I think it was, I don't know. I didn't feel all there today. So anyway, round 2, go up against Gavin Michaels, and game 1, I forgot. Game 1, I forgot what happened. Really, game 2, I had a I don't know. Game 3 was the big one. Game 3, I set myself up in a nice win con, and I proceeded to throw that game by Trick Rimming when I had faster Pokemon. I don't know why I did that. I don't even remember who I played. Oh, round 3. Round 3 was a really close match. Really, really close. I'm 0-2. I'm playing the guy, Duh. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
And it was like, he was running a pretty standard team, and the matches were really close, and like going right down to the wire. I was getting a little unlucky, and then I got flared with crit, and followed by a Thunderbolt Para, and I got parried 4 times in a row to lose. So that was not a fun way to go out. But I mean, he was from, I think, Taiwan, so that was cool at least. Yeah, I got to play someone from Taiwan. And then from there, I was thinking about dropping out, but
especially after an ending like that.
Yeah, I was 0-3 already, and I was
talked about
upset. Yeah. I wanted to be in the standings. It's my first world, so why not? So I played like Riley and stuff, but I didn't really try against anyone. I was just kind of having fun with it and trying to end it quick. I was like messing around, like trying to test the Mimikyu because I had Destiny Bond on it, and I wanted to do the Destiny Bond, so I'd keep trying to set up my lags with that.
Yeah, just play kind of like casually and fast, not put too much critical thought into the tournament.
Exactly.
But yeah, Chris and I were both out of the tournament right away.
But not last place.
We did not get last. So
I thought about it, but no.
But we played it out. We didn't drop, so everyone that dropped, they're behind us.
Yeah, exactly. We stuck it out.
And then Justin, how was the Open?
So the Open was it was fun. The only thing about the Open is that I didn't get to watch any of the great matches live because I was playing. So that was a really actually sad disappointment because I really enjoyed, because I missed day 2 last year barely as well. But I really enjoyed watching all the games day 2 and the atmosphere that it provided with all the players who missed day 2 being in the crowd and cheering and when I did make it eventually over and watch some of the streams, the crowds were a lot thinner this year. And I think that's because the Open took a little something away from that. I ended up going 3-3 drop in the Open. I lost round 1 because I got crit out of game 1. Game 2 I won, and game 3 I just timed out twice, and that's my own fault. And then I won round 2, lost round 3, got savagely outplayed. Won 2 rounds in a row, got some momentum going. I had a really good matchup in the 6th round, and I 4-0'd game 1, and then I relaxed too much. Got red hard about 4 or 5 turns in a row when I had almost a 100% win condition, and then kind of picked the wrong mon to bring in game 3, and that was that. So I didn't play very well. So
I have a question.
I was a little bitter about that, but you got to recognize it and then use it to get better.
I have a question for you. Did you play only Americans or
I played all Americans except for the one guy who savagely outplayed me.
Where was he from?
He was from LATAM.
Yeah, makes sense.
We'll get to that later. Actually, probably about now. Anything else though, Justin?
No. I really liked my team. I actually ended up using the Modest Mimikyu as well, and actually max speed Snorlax as well. So it was really good actually for the other core 4 that I took. So I ended up running P2 Spider in the first day, and then I replaced those with Mimikyu Snorlax, which was actually the first draft of my team. The only problem with that draft, it was 5 physical attackers, but the special Mimikyu fixed that. So it actually fit really well. I just, like I said, I played really bad and poorly, and I wish I would have seen some more end games.
Gotcha. Well, the Open wrapped up later that day. I think actually something like 46 people will be moving on to
44.
44? Okay. To play tomorrow. So, really interesting, cool, look forward to those results. But, yeah, it's... I've said before on here, but definitely not a fan of the Open events at Worlds. And anyway, moving on from that... we got our top cut. After we played our 7 rounds, we came to a top 19 cut, and as soon as we saw that number, we were just all like, "This looks really awkward. What do we do?" Because it's an odd number, and it's nothing we can really we couldn't think of a way to work with it. But what they ended up doing was they took the bottom 6 people and made them do a play-in
game.
Yeah, play-in game. Yeah, that's what we call them. Play-in game, so that we could get around top 16. And so those bottom 6 people played in a traditional, not like a bracket, but they took the top seed and played them against the bottom seed. So if you wanted to see the results, I don't believe they're on Trainer Tower yet, but, well, they will be when this is posted, so all the results will be on there. But results for that should be on Trainer Tower by the time, but I'm looking at them right now on Twitter. And, just the 14 seed played 19, and so and such on and such and such. And so we ended up with the top 16. A lot of strong players in there, a lot of names that I recognize. The story going into it towards the end of the tournament, and just throughout the whole day, was America was just doing terribly. Not to just make this about me and Chris, but Chris and I are 2 Americans, and we were 2 of the first people out of the tournament. And it wasn't just us. A lot of Americans were in the negative, in the red, and we were really...
I think Alvin, who was 5-0 the first day, went 0-3.
Yeah,
he went 0-3 to 0-4.
Me and Alvin both went from 5-0 to 0-3.
Yeah.
And then I played Alvin at 0-3, and he was 0-4 then. So, for Alvin. But me and him were mostly just messing around. Anyway, besides that, they were the top 16, and Americans just got slaughtered. Towards the very end, we saw actually Ken VGC on Twitter, who I think we're all a big fan of here in the hotel room that we're in, but we were all rooting for Ken. He got a pair up twice in one of the rounds, and then the next round got a pair up against Wolf. He did get a bye, though, so it was kind of karma, but I don't know. Anyway, it's still tough for him. He beat Wolf, but it was a pair up, so he wasn't in yet, and Wolf wasn't out yet. It was kind of sad that 2 of the 3 remaining Americans had to play each other in a round like that, and then Ken ended up losing the last round, so that was one of our Americans gone. Wolf ended up making it in the final round, and then the American that I've yet to mention is Ashton. Ashton was able to move on to the top 19, but Ashton lost his play-in game.
The other American that was really close was Justin Burns, so shout out to him as well.
Yeah,
he performed very well and went through day 1, so he didn't have an easy go of it because he had to go all the way through day 1.
And also a special shout out to Gavin Michaels for the first time ever, I think.
Yes,
He went
I wanted to mention that.
At the Worlds. So
Yeah,
he's improving. He's getting there. Maybe go top cut next time.
Yeah, maybe it's just that slow and steady increase, and so good for him though to see that he finally did go positive. And then in terms of the spread of countries, I'm not going to talk about top 16 just because that's I don't actually know the numbers. I have them here in front of me, but I'm not going to count them here while we're sitting here. Instead, what I'll talk about is I do know top 8. We saw 4 of them from LATAM.
Yeah.
I gotta say it. I keep saying LATAM, but I think it's better as LATAM. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, LATAM had 4. Japan had 2. There was 1 Australian and 1 European. And
nobody could have predicted that.
yeah, like if you guys listened to the episode before this, I was so far off. And I feel like a lot of people were because the joke that a lot of people have been using this tournament is don't sleep on LATAM. And I guess we all slept on them. But
We didn't sleep hard enough.
no. Yep, and it's kind of funny because they, well, I guess we'll talk about some of the games that we watched. We saw in the top 8, Nils play against...
Ryota.
Yeah, it was against Ryota. And
That game was like...
it was a really worthwhile one for watching.
If you want to learn something, man, watch that game.
Ryota knows how to play some VGC.
He's interesting. He like makes some like really like his plays like they look like they're almost. It's almost like crazy because like he's not afraid to like put his win con out there and risk it that turn.
Mhm.
Like there was a turn where he could have safely switched in or safely protected and like set himself up slowly.
Yeah.
And not been like throwing the Marowak out in front of Nihilego. But instead he's like, no, you're not going to power gem. I'm just going to throw my Marowak out here. It's just like he knows.
And then he absorbed the Gigavolt Havoc.
Yeah,
that was a big play.
He's crazy.
It's such a big play. Yeah.
He's not afraid to just throw out his win con and like show it off like, hey, you want this? We got to like fight for it. And I think it like tilts players a little bit, so he played pretty good.
Meanwhile, on the other side, we saw... well, not on the other side, but the lower half of that left side of the bracket, we saw Renee play against...
Yuki?
I believe it was against another Japanese player, which was...
It was this guy, I think, right?
Is it
it was Takuya.
Takuya?
Yeah,
Okay.
Takuya.
Was it
And
Takuya?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought his name was a lot longer.
Yeah. I think it's Tomoyuki.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Tomoyuki too.
Oh! No, you're right. It's Tomoyuki.
Yeah, it's
that's
Tomoyuki.
what, yeah.
Yep, Tomoyuki sounds right. And if we're wrong, the results are out there, the real results, but we'll just, we're mixing up names, so if we're wrong, I do apologize. But, yeah, so it was a Japanese player versus Renee, and that was kind of on the side stream, right? It was happening, so on the VGC stream, we were watching things on the main stream. I just know that he ended up getting 2-0'd. Something that's always fun at the Worlds tournaments, at least for the 2 that I've been to, is the Latin American crowd is always so crazy.
It's fun.
They're crazy, but they're also really like I like it because they're supportive.
They bring life to the game, and
Yeah.
they really back their community.
I
They're
like
players.
the idea that if you're in that family, they're there for you.
Mhm.
Like when Renee lost, and they still cheered for him.
They
And
picked him up
hugged
and carried him away.
He did great, and it's not like when when I lose,
Mm-hmm.
my friends are just like, oh, like
Hey, man, and then-
like I lost inside, like hey, whatever. They're just like, you did it, buddy. You made
They
us
go
proud.
nuts.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's a really cool point, Chris. And what I like about it too is they're not like attacking the people they're playing against, but they're just really supportive to their friends. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really cool thing.
And so then on the other side, we saw Sam Pandelis from Australia playing against Sebas.
Oh God!
Oh, this is a highlight match.
Yeah, and so the big deal was game one. Sebas made a play on turn one that
we confirmed was a misclick.
No, not turn one. On turn one, he made a play that he thought was safe, but it ended up costing him a very important bit.
Golduck.
Yeah, losing a Pokemon very early to a move that he just did not expect, or just because of speed tiers, he just didn't know him or something, and so he pretty much knew that the game was over. Yeah, that's what he was thinking, and so, or no, that's not what happened.
Yeah,
no, wasn't that?
Yeah. He lost Golduck turn one because he thought the Golduck was faster than Xurkitree.
Yeah.
The Xurkitree though proved to be faster than his Golduck.
Okay, so really quickly going on, I don't know if that's actually what went down. Is that what did he ever say that's what happened?
No, not not in turn one. Turn one was that he thought he was faster.
Are you sure he thought he was faster?
Yeah, because his reaction made it look like he was
maybe surprised. He might have been reading the tail.
What I was gonna say is when I watched Sebastian, I've noticed if there's one thing about him, it's that he's not afraid to make these bold.
Okay, so maybe it was a tail go.
There was three things that could have went down with that Xurkitree that turn. It's either Thunderbolt's the Golduck, but that's the obvious play. Mm-hmm. So, and I guess he respects Sam as a player enough to think that, okay, this play's too obvious. It's obvious I'm going to switch to my Politoed. You're going to attack my Politoed switch in, or you're going to Tail Glow and then protect, bring in Ninetales. Mm-hmm. Those are like two optimal plays that can set you up long term. Mm-hmm. So he was like, instead of giving him a long term setup, I'm just going to go straight for the kill.
Yeah.
And punish him for trying to set up a long term, end game goal.
Yeah, just some classic rock, paper, scissors, essentially, but playing it on the first turn of the game, I think that's kind of seems to be the part of the style with Sam's team. I think it was kind of cool that he had Aurora Veil to really bulk up some of these offensive threats he has, like Lele, like Xurkitree, or Garchomp, just backing them up so that they can last around a lot longer. The set was really cool. The thing that was a little weird, I guess I got carried away, but after that unfortunate turn one for Sebas, he was sitting there in turn two, and I don't know if he thought he was out of it, but we thought Sam had a definite move to win the game.
Yeah, so he brought in Muck, and it was Muck and Politoed on the field versus a +1 Xurkitree and a Lele that was +1 as well.
Yeah.
And all he had to do was really double into the Muck, we thought, because the Politoed was not threatening a KO on either Sam's side. So we thought for sure there's a double target coming in the Muck. Yet we saw Dazzling Gleam come out first, and we're like, oh my gosh, there's an opening here.
Sebas could win it.
And then the next thing you know is Politoed is scalding his own Muck and burning it.
He gets the burn.
Which we confirmed then was that was a misclick.
It was like a trying to input your move at the last second, clicked his own mon kind of situation. He just, and it's a user error kind of thing. He spent too much time finding that correct move. Maybe something like he saw an opening, or maybe he considered this being an option. Maybe this is something that he could have seen coming. Just 1 second. I didn't plug in the mic. It's still recording, don't worry. We've been recording, but
we have levels.
I've recorded with this before, and it's still okay. It's gonna be weird that we
change mics.
Yeah. But I'll actually just make a quick announcement about it. Hey guys, so just ended up having a little bit of a recording error. I was using the wrong mic. I actually forgot to plug it in, and so in the middle of my sentence, I just noticed that I had an empty USB cable sitting there, and I was like, oh no, the mic's not plugged in. So we switched that. Now we're good. Back to talking about the match of Sebas' on stream versus Sam. And yeah, he ended up attacking himself, which was really crazy. It got the self-scald burn. Super sad to see that happen on top 8 of Worlds, and
he ended up just, that game was done. He lost that one. And we saw a good game 2 from him where I think turn 1 he made like a super hard read where he like doubled the Zergotry when Lele was just sitting there like super ready to take a KO on anything. And Sebas was like, no, I don't even care about the Lele right now. You're protecting it. That was so cool. He just seemed to be pretty dominant in game 2. And then game 3 was definitely a game, wasn't it?
It was a game.
There was like at least 3 like 1 HP survivals. I think like Lele lived at really low HP.
4 or 7.
And then ate a berry. And then attacked the Buzzwole at +1. And the Buzzwole lives at 1 HP. And then attacks the Lele again. And it lives with like 7 HP. Just so many clutch, tiny survivals.
And he was using Moonblast in Psychic Training because he was afraid of the Muck switching.
He was super afraid of it because we saw it a couple of times in the set where he would Moonblast on turns where Psychic is going to easily pick up the KO because, he was just afraid of a Muck switch in.
He did play to his outs, so I did respect his play. I'm just really sad that game 1 had to happen the way it was. So I was actually pretty excited because I don't get to see too many Sebastian games, but he's been very consistent throughout the year.
I mean, he's Top Cut Worlds, I think, 3 times now.
Yeah, but one of them was in seniors, which is still good. But Masters level, I think he's Top Cut both of them.
Yes.
That he's been to.
Mm-hmm. And he just cut US Internets as well.
He's I think he's like a rising star. Like Sebastian, he just came into Masters, I think, just recently. And he's caused this whole... He's the reason LATAM is, like, so, like, big with their players and everything. He kind of started it all. I'm like... I like it, and I really hope that we see more of him, because I feel like he's good for the game, good for, like, all the communities. And, I don't know, he played well, so I'm just happy. I'm sad that the first game had to end the way it was, because I feel like there could be more of a game there. But I'm happy that the games were so good. And he got to really show himself off.
Yeah, I think he's definitely, like you said, a rising star. It's really cool to see him make it so far, and I feel like he could definitely be a world champion in the making. We'll have to see how he does in the future. The 4th game that we saw for top 8 was...
last time ditto.
Was it? Oh, yes, it was. And
it was Dorian versus...
Paul, I believe.
Dorian versus Paul, yeah.
And I don't have a whole lot to say about that one because, again, this was the side, not the side TV match, but the VGC stream when we were watching mainstream. But I do know that Paul moved on. Are there any other comments you guys have really on this?
It was a 2-0, and it looked pretty convincing.
Seemed to have it.
I didn't actually know who Paul was before this tournament, but he really proved himself. He's a good player.
I think one of the highlights was when we did look over there, his Marowak Will-O-Wisped his own Snorlax at +6 from a belly drum.
Yeah,
and then he facaded a Porygon 2 for the Oko. Really cool plays to see at the Worlds level. When you get to do that on stream, you got to feel good about yourself. That's really fun.
Yeah, and it looked like it was kind of like a style play, too. Like, it was almost unnecessary, but it was fun.
Yeah. It was like sometimes you just got to show them. You got to show them who's boss. And get in their heads. So then we moved on to top 4, and this was also simultaneous, and so this was tough because these are 2 huge matches, and we were getting commentary for just one of them. We saw the Japan versus Japan.
Talking about that one last.
That was so...
and it actually, did it resolve first or second? I think it resolved second.
It resolved second.
But it started before, so that's kind of fun. But we'll save that one for last, just because it's got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But we were watching Sam versus Paul without commentary, and
Those
looks
games
like
were tight, dude.
there was a lot of good play in there. Like we saw, I think in game 1, Sam was just winning it very convincingly.
Yeah, he set up his Zergotry really well.
And was able to play around Marowak.
He played really well with that. Sam, if there's one thing I got out of that game, Sam did get some lucky breaks with misses.
Oh, yes. There was a lot of... And he double protected, I think.
And double protected. Like, Sam's Zergotry, basically, it was like, I'm here to stay. That thing was wiggling around everything.
And I believe then Paul takes game 2. And I think one of the highlight moments for me on Game 3 when I looked over there was when Garchomp, which had used its Z move,
Oh yeah.
and the Xurkitree, which is I think Tail Glowed maybe,
Yes.
versus Celesteela Marowak. This Celesteela is at probably 5%, but the Celesteela has Wide Guard, and it's next to a Marowak. So the Xurkitree with Thunderbolt and Dazzling Gleam can't get past the Lightning Rod and Wide Guard, and the Garchomp has only Earthquake and Rock Slide with no Z move anymore, so it can't get past the Wide Guard. And Chris looked over me and told me, he was like, he hasn't been a lock, and I was like, wow, that is a really cool kind of situation. However, it turned out that I think Arcanine was in the back, and it was just too much, especially when your Celesteela is so low, and Marowak's getting intimidated.
It was right down to the wire. There's one turn that I disagreed with, and it's when he switched into Salamence and his Marowak instead of switching one in and Wide Guarding. Because he had Wide Guard, but I think he wanted to save it for the Soft Lock. But I don't know. That was the only play that was the crucial play that I think changed the game. But for the most part, I didn't even see it. Usually I'm good at reading these situations. I didn't even see the Soft Lock until he put himself in that situation. So he was playing smart, and he was going for every out, and I respect that a lot. He really showed us some really good play.
Yeah, I'm really happy for Paul to have made it all the way to top 4 of U.S. Or not U.S. U.S. We're in the U.S. but of Worlds. I'm thinking of U.S. Internets for some reason. But awesome to see him make it all the way to top 4 of Worlds, and so we see Sam move on.
Sadly, Latam looking so strong. I believed in them.
They had 4 people in the top 8.
And one of them was Sebastian. I had really high hopes for
right off the bat.
Sam.
They had to team kill.
Yeah.
That match that we mentioned, and then Sebas was eliminated as well as Renee, and then their last hope was Paul, and he ended up losing to Sam. So
The Slayer. The Latam Slayer.
Latam got knocked out, and so we're left with an Australian in finals. So obviously a great year to be an Australian. And then on the other side of the bracket, we know that it's going to be Japan in the finals because it's Japan versus Japan. So, Justin,
man, what a match! So this first match. So first of all, you've got Ryota, who is the Japanese national champion this year, who has cut Worlds before, has done so well in Japanese national tournaments in the past.
isn't he the reigning national champion?
Yeah,
he's the Sarina guy.
Yeah, I just said that. And so he's having a good year. He's loving the format. He's been good at Pokemon a long time, and so you see this high level play, and you can start to see the development of the game, where you're like, I don't think he can get rid of Celesteela. Mm-hmm. The only way for him to get rid of this Celesteela is maybe getting a +1 on Nihilego, or somehow getting enough chip with the flamethrower on the Salamence, and he just positioned himself so well against the Gastrodon, against the Nihilego, and the Salamence, and the Celesteela pulls back a 3v1. The match took that game 1 took 35 minutes. And it was a cool grinded out game. Game 2 went really fast. I think they knew the situation. I think they knew what was happening. They knew the time was getting close. They took some KOs early, and instead of playing out the last few KOs in case somebody messed up or anything like that, there was a quick forfeit, and we get to game 3, and we see the most incredible finish ever. And I think
you gotta first mention that game 3 started with I think 3 minutes left in the round. That's when Team Preview had left, and turn 1 their mons are being sent out, and there's only 3 minutes left in the round.
And they're taking full 45-second turns, so they're only giving themselves 3, maybe 4 turns.
Yeah.
To get board position, but they were again taking KOs. They both led aggressively. Mm-hmm. They had mons that were going to take KOs out.
Yeah, we saw some. Both of them had changed their leads up from the very defensive game 1s, and game 2 was a little bit different, but the defensive approach from the beginning, they both led very offensively in that final game.
That makes sense though, because time.
Yeah.
You need to get that KO fast, otherwise you're putting yourself in a weird spot.
Yeah, and so they actually exchange KOs. They get in this weird position. We have turn 0 happening. Moves are going in turn 0, so they have 3 turns left.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, there's basically a 100% win condition on the board with 1 turn left. You know, basically you got a Specs Tapu Fini on the field, and you have a Celesteal on the field. We have a really incredibly bulky defensive Nihilego with a berry. It's already taken a heavy slam from Celesteal before, so we know that needs a crit. And then there's a Buzzwole on the field. We know it has Protect. And all you got to do is click Protect on both your Pokemon to win. And then we didn't see Protect, and we were all confused, and we didn't know what was happening.
But we thought it was fine.
We thought it was fine, but we're like thinking it's fine. We're like, we're thinking, maybe he doesn't know the rules. You know, maybe it's just because they have a different system. But we're like, it doesn't matter anyway. The Heavy Slam's not going to KO. The Sludge Bomb's going to get the Finny. Well, Sludge Bomb leaves Finny at literally 1 HP. It had to have been.
Mm-hmm.
And then the
Finny proceeds to Oko it goes on to Oko the Buzzwole.
In Moonblast the Buzzwole goes down since it's not Assault Vest. And then here comes this Heavy Slam, like, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. And then
the
HP
crit goes all the way down.
The crit happens. And we're thinking, wow, that's a $2,000 throw.
Yeah.
It's a $2,000 throw. But I saw on Twitter that another player talked to him and commiserated with him, and he's like, why are you sorry? This is the game we play. And it almost was like a throwback to Ray Rizzo back in the day, who had a 100% win condition, and instead of waiting for the timer to run out, he let his opponent play out the last turn. He let the RNG go as it may. He was paralyzed, but he got through the paralysis, and he ended up beating his opponent all the way to the end. And I think he just wanted to play it out to the end. Mm-hmm. And it was a really cool way to end. It was so hyped. The crowd went wild. We didn't know what happened, but it was super.
It was not at all what we expected.
It was crazy. It was easily one of the craziest matches I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was a crazy top 4 match.
We were all yelling.
I don't know if finals can actually beat that, but we'll see. Finals
I mean, so Ryota is the one that moves on in the end of this. I guess I don't know if we explained it well enough, but Ryota moves on to finals, and so
you got the Japanese national champion in the finals of the Worlds.
What happened in 2015 when Shoma won nationals? Didn't he go on to win Worlds?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
So that's kind of fun to think about. Something else to consider. We've talked about psychic types at Worlds. We see that there is only one psychic type in finals, and that is Lele on Sam's team. So psychic types pulling it all the way to the end. They haven't won yet, though. We'll have to see. And I'm really looking forward to that match because both players have shown a lot of high-level play as well as some very interesting teams.
We got Tapu Koko versus Tapu Lele, so Tapu matchups.
Yeah, both teams. So one team has double Tapu, which is something that I predicted to win Worlds, versus single Tapu and Lele.
Which nobody predicted single Tapu being Lele.
Yes, good point. And then we saw there's a Whimsicott, there's a Crocodile, a Marowak, which is kind of up there, but
Xurkitree,
Mandibuzz. So many good Pokemon. Like, I feel like we're getting a good amount of flavor in this final matchup. There isn't even a whole lot of overlap between the two teams. They almost might have completely different 6, which I think is really cool, and you don't even see that a lot in VGC 17. So it's going to be a very cool match, and in terms of the kind of the resolution of that last match that we were talking about, where it looked kind of like a throw, right now everyone seems to have all kinds of different theories on it. And since this is not going to be released, at the time that we're recording it, it's going to be released sometime afterwards. Hopefully, people finally get an idea of what actually happened. I'm really curious because it was crazy to watch, and I mean, definitely go back and check that out on stream, because if you watch that, you'll get to see the reactions of the players, you'll hear the commentators, but you might even be able to hear the crowd going nuts in the background, because that's what we got to experience here. And that was basically it for the day. You know, as soon as that happened, it's like 11 o'clock at night, basically. So, like, we're just like, yep, heading out, and now it's pretty much it for today. I think that kind of wraps everything up.
Okay, on the record, who's winning Masters tomorrow?
Who do we have money on?
Not money, but you know.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Who you putting in your who you picking?
I don't want to put mine down.
You don't want to say it?
I don't want to sound biased.
You know
what? I'm okay with sound bias. I think Ryota's gonna do it.
I honestly don't think. I think Ryota's got matchup, and he was playing so well. I think the Marowak is gonna give him issues, Sam issues, and the double tapu. Tapu Fini is a good counter to Lele, just because Lele does need the terrain. Mm-hmm. So I have a hard time. I'd like to see a really good set, but I have a hard time seeing Ryota not winning. So,
what are you thinking, Chris? Anything?
I don't know, because the matchup's kind of weird. But like, I thought he had a good. I thought that Paul had a good matchup too, and then Paul lost. So
back at nationals.
No, in quarter.
Oh, okay.
In top four.
Yeah.
I thought that Paul had a pretty good matchup.
Because he also had a Marowak.
Yeah. It seems like Sam can play his way out of those bad matchups.
We'll see. I don't know. The matchup's kind of interesting. I don't know what the Whimsicott does. Maybe the Whimsicott has like.
That could be the way the time it comes out.
I don't know all his texts yet. I didn't get to see enough of them. Mm-hmm. For all I know, he could lead Sunny Day in that guy's face, and then go from there.
Could be Fake Tears Whimsicott. Could be Trick Room Whimsicott. Endeavor.
I feel like there's a lot of tricks we haven't seen yet, and I don't know. If I was gonna like really base it off of teams, I think that we're gonna have a Japanese win.
All right. Well, there's all kinds of different factors lining up. Like obviously we talked about Japan. This looks very similar to the 2015 Japan story, but there's that Psychic Type Worlds factor. Both players just have these kind of things going for them. It's really cool, but some of this stuff, this is all basically superstitious stuff. None of it's confirmed. It's going to come down to who plays better, who wins the game. So I am looking very much forward to it. And, if you're listening to this and you haven't watched them yet, please do that, because Worlds Finals is the most hype it's going to get. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow, watching all of the finals games, and I think that's going to do it for today. We'll hit you guys back up tomorrow when we are done watching finals and such.
And we have a new world champion.
Good point. All right. See you guys next day. Hello guys, welcome back for the final day of Worlds. You have Justin and I here, actually both in our own homes, because the end of Worlds was like such a cluster. There was so much going on that we ended up not having enough time to record this. So Chris isn't going to be joining us. He is under the weather, as well as if he were recording with us, he had to leave early. We'll get to that later, but I guess right now what we need to talk about is day 3 of Worlds, or day 3 technically, because Thursday is like day 0. So we got to see really just the finals. That's like the main thing. Got to hang out. I guess for the people that were in the Anaheim Open, they got to replay the remainder of that. But for the real main stage, it was TCG in the beginning, and then we switched over to VGC. And so I was with Justin watching these games. What did you think?
Man, I would say that, we went to Worlds last year, and I think all 3 finals this year were way more hype than all 3 finals of last year. I would say even the juniors put on a good show. We saw Hard Trick Room versus, Australia and the Cons, and it was almost expected that Australia would win that one just because of how he had been doing in the internationals leading up to the event, and he played really well. He had a good game plan for the Hard Trick Room, and I was actually really taken aback with how well the senior finals went, and I'm actually really excited for it just because we're going to see those seniors next year in the Masters division. Both of them, they're aging up, and South Korea ending up taking it in a really crazy set, which was basically fake PG versus the old Edu team. 2 classics, 2 very solid teams together. And then the Masters finals, man, all three of us on the podcast had selected Japan to win. And it looked very scary there that we were going to be wrong in such a good matchup. And both players played just out of their minds. And, thinking back on it, there wasn't much really anything special of the teams. They were both kind of straightforward teams. We knew what they did, but it was just amazing play that got them to where they got, and probably one of the most entertaining finals ever in VGC, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of your points there, and I'm going to throw it back to the juniors finals really quick. Personally, I was really excited because I saw Lucario in there, and I was also using Scarf Lucario at Worlds with Hard Trick Room, so that was very fun to me to see. As well as, it was just an entertaining match to watch, because there was a Gigalith there with Instruct and Rock Slide, and I feel like that Gigalith actually didn't even get a single flinch.
No, it did not. We were commenting how unlucky he was actually in that set, because it didn't really miss any key ones, but it never flinched anything. But Kangaskhan can't be flinched, so and he's a con. So
these cons, their Snorlaxes just are immune to flinches. It was so funny. That same story from Nationals. It's just, I mean, it's very likely that his brother just traded him the team, as is from International. So Chris, won the U.S. International with the exact same team his brother won Worlds with. I don't know if the sets are, copied and pasted, but it's really fun. And it's kind of like a storybook ending there because, he was definitely the favorite going into that tournament, considering how he had won every single international at least once in his career. He won all three of them this year besides Europe. I think he got top 4 is what I heard. But he did win Europe in 2016. So right now I'm expecting Nick Khan to go to Japan next year and win their national as well, because he is just such a strong player in the juniors division. And as for the seniors division, I thought we also had a really cool story. I believe we had a returning finalist.
Yes, the Japanese player was a returning finalist.
The Japanese player.
Year. Yep.
And then versus a player who apparently had a very similar season or story to that of Seijin Park, who won in 2014 in the Masters division. And so it was really cool that we had these interesting storylines for this seniors division final. And it's also really cool how meta the teams were. I think we've been seeing kind of a trend like that where in seniors, the trend for seniors was at U.S. Internationals, we saw Japan Nationals finals again, or something like that. But anyway, we see a lot of meta stuff in the seniors, and I felt like it was a really fun matchup. It was 3 games and very intense, like back and forth action. Very cool to see both of these players playing so well, and you have a good point that we will be seeing them next year in our own division, so that's exciting.
Yeah, it's a nice little sneak preview, and I think we got that last year as well at Worlds with Carson Confer coming up, and he had a great season as well. And the person that got second was in the finals again this year. So it's great to see the sneak preview from them. So I liked it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys do in the coming up season, considering, Carson was a very strong aging up senior this year, as well as players like Nils, who we saw in the Masters division, ended up making it to the top 8.
Yep.
We talked a bit about that yesterday, or not yesterday, but for the day 2 results. And then lastly, our finals, the one that most people are, I think, excited to see, probably got peak viewership here during Masters finals between Ryota and Sam. That was an awesome, awesome match. Some mechanics coming in at least twice in the game, whether they were known or unknown. One thing that I did not know is if you were taunted, you could not use Nature Power if you didn't have any other attacking moves. So that's really interesting. You're just forced to struggle. Or Z Nature Power, that is. Because you can use Z moves through Taunt, but the game will just auto-struggle for you. So that's a really, really cool mechanic to come into play in finals. As well as the new immunity of Dark types or to Prankster moves. So something that ended up playing a very crucial role in that third game where a Z move was wasted into a Mandibuzz that would normally be super effective, but because of the Prankster effect on Dark types, it actually had no effect.
And actually, now that we're post-Worlds, I've been able to track that situation on Twitter, and Yoshi, Marcus Statter, had actually talked to Ryota, and he knew both things. He knew that once he clicked battle, he would be struggling that turn, and he also knew that Mandibuzz was immune to any nature power of any kind, Z move or not. So
those were his plays.
Yeah, those were just his plays. Those were the reads. And Sam made really good plays and reads to counter that. So actually, the struggle play was actually the best play, and then the Z move was the incorrect play for Ryota.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that struggle play, like when that lead came out in game 3, or not the struggle play, the Z move play, in the lead in game 3, I was just sitting there like, there are so many options here. Like, we could see a switch, we could see a double target, we could see like all kinds of like options in that first play. I don't have it exactly memorized. I just remember thinking like, what could happen in this first turn? It's going to really dictate the flow of this game. And it was really cool to see Ryota come back from wasting his Z move into an immunity, because that can be such a deficit to put yourself into. And so, honestly, just a really exciting set. I remember like my voice was basically gone at the end of it because of how much I was cheering.
Yeah, that's one effect from just cheering for, both actually watching day 1, day 2, and the finals. Man, my throat was sore for days afterwards. So It's just such an electric atmosphere, and if you get the opportunity to go to Worlds, playing or not, I highly recommend it, because it's just such a great atmosphere, great people to be around, and there's nothing like watching it live compared to on stream, because you get that more intimate, intense atmosphere.
Yeah, the crowd was really lively, especially, it's cool to see the rowdiness of foreign crowds. Like, everyone's just getting really hyped and into this. And so then after Masters Finals, we saw like a great set that came down to quite the very end, I would say. Not exactly the last turn, but, last couple of turns deciding it. And then we saw the awards ceremony. We saw all of the TCG Masters finalists, or just TCG finalists and champions, and then the VG finalists and champions come out. They all received their trophies. And then from there, we got our Worlds announcement. So Steven and I were talking about this in the last podcast, where we thought Worlds would be, and both of us were very wrong, and even to the point that we were thinking that at least one of us would get the coast right, but apparently that wasn't even the call. It's a city without a coast. It's in Nashville.
Yeah, the Music City. I'm really excited. Mostly, I'm excited because I can drive to this Worlds. It's less than a 9-hour drive, so that's going to cut down on costs considerably. I'm also really excited because it's a lower CP bar this year, so I'm almost guaranteed to get to go. And it's actually kind of a cool, unique city to be in if you've never been to Nashville. There's a lot of history there. There's a lot of music there. I'm excited for the Pikachu plush from there. Could it be holding an instrument of some kind? That'd be really cool. I know the general consensus to people who know nothing about the city is that it might be a little bit of a downer, but I think every year you'll have fun at Worlds regardless of the location, just because of the people you're with, and there will be plenty to do there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool and a unique kind of city. Like, we don't see a whole lot of people going to states like Tennessee. You always see these coastal cities and stuff, and so it's going to be cool giving people opportunities to travel to a different part of America, get to experience cities that aren't like as big as, like cities that you see in the state of California. And so I really like that aspect, as well as, it being the Music City. And for me personally, it's a place that I've never been to, even though I live in America. And so I really look forward to getting to check it out, personally. Like, once I, if I do qualify, I do plan on trying my best to qualify. And we've talked before how this bar is a lot lower. Afterwards, I believe that's it. They kind of just flash it on the screen, Nashville, the Music City, and then I believe that's it.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. There was just a lot of picture taking post the event, but basically they shut down shop, and we get to move on with our lives, which is hard to do because there's so much hype from the match. I know a lot of people get inspired to play, want to team build, want to get out there and get some of that glory for themselves. And that actually carries out into the evening events. I think that we're going to talk about next is the after party, the huge after party.
Yeah, so what we personally did was we went and got food, and then after that we hung out at another person's hotel. We got to play some Resistance, which was both of our first time, but it's really fun to just play. It's fun to play, games with people that you don't get to see all year long, like these people that are traveling from either all over the U.S. or all over the world. And so got to hang out there for a bit. And then afterwards, we heard there was a tournament for money going on at the Marriott lobby. And so we spent a large portion of the night hanging down there with all the top players, watching some high-level money matches, as well as Ryota just playing some scrimmage matches for fun to see if anybody else could take him down with Sam's Worlds team. That was a really cool thing to see. And just in general, a lot of fun times there.
That was my favorite part of the night, actually, was watching Ryota facing off against Aaron Cybertron Zhang. Aaron was using Sam's team and Ryota was using his, and it was on the world stage again because neither of them had unlocked their battle boxes. I know I talked to Sam a bit, and he said that before their match, basically him and Ryota were sitting next to each other for a good hour and a half watching the finals because the Pokemon Company wouldn't let them really go anywhere unless it was to the bathroom. If they had to go to the bathroom, they had to be accompanied. And so they were just chatting pretty much the whole time, as much as they could with the language barrier. They had a little bit of an interpreter. I think Sam knew a little Japanese. So they talked a little bit to each other, and they became good friends. And then they were just watching replays. They were battling, rebattling. It was a really fun atmosphere. And in case you're wondering, Aaron actually pulled out the win in that best of 3 in a really close to intense set. So
that was fun. That was really fun to watch, as well as we were following other people around playing in this money tournament that they were running. It was basically just a typical PC that you would see, except that everyone is a Worlds qualified player and playing just really high level matches every single round. Best of 1 just to keep it running a little faster, as well as to make it a little bit more exciting, I guess, to differ from that you were playing at Worlds. It was really cool. And so then we didn't get back to the hotel till about 3 a.m. So that's why we're recording this now. But I think that about wraps up the Worlds experience. Justin, you and I both flew out on Monday. Chris wouldn't have been able to join us because after dinner he had to head to LAX. He was flying out Sunday night. And so unfortunately he will not be joining us here, as I had already mentioned. That's kind of the reason behind it. And yeah, I got to check out the eclipse in Anaheim, and that's really it. The rest of it's just kind of touristy vacation stuff, not totally VGC, but definitely a very fun Worlds, I would say. And is there anything else that you think's missing, Justin?
What I know about the Anaheim Open is that Japan won again, and I heard Gudra was on the team. And,
yes.
And Alberto Lora came in second. So that was kind of the recap of the Anaheim Open. So Japan won. They can't get any CP, but so they say they stopped somebody from getting first place CP. But Alberto gets that nice jump up with a second place regional finish, basically.
Yeah, so he, for Americans, should be leading in CP right now, looking pretty good. We've got a while until the snowball this year, or CP train, is determined. So, but it's good that he's got that kind of jump start on it. He should have a good amount of CP to keep him up towards the top, but he's still going to have to play a lot more events to ensure that he remains all the way up there. Really interesting to see Japan win it, as well as I know there are a lot of other Americans, and so that affects us personally as people trying to fight for a chance at CP training around the world. But yeah, I'm excited for Worlds in Nashville next year, and I hope you are too. I know a lot of people were mocking it to begin with, but I think we should just give it a chance. It's going to be cool, and like Justin said, pretty much every Worlds is going to be amazing just because you're there for the people, you're there for the Pokemon, the game, and you're in a convention center the large majority of the time. You know, it's not going to matter a whole lot what city you're in. So I think it's going to be fun no matter what, and I hope you guys look forward to it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I think we'll wrap things up now. It was fun hanging out with Justin and Chris all weekend, as well as having Justin join me on here now to wrap things up. But I just wanted to say thanks to Justin and Chris for joining me, and thank you guys for listening to us. I'm trying to remember all the things Steven says to wrap it up, but, it's like we have an iTunes, so we're on iTunes. You can check us out there. Leave a review because it helps us get noticed. Send us questions at our email at hypervoice. Actually, I can't think of the email right now, so it's like hypervoice@gmail.com or something like that. Hypervoice VGC, hypervoice, I don't know. So don't worry about the emails for this episode. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that we're on Twitter. I know Chris Danzo is not here with us, but I do know Chris's Twitter is at Chris Danzo, I believe is just simply that.
Yep.
And so, Justin, Twitter, where can people follow you?
They can follow me at iMagikarpVGC.
All right, and lastly, I can be followed at LexiconVGC. Thanks, guys, for listening. It's been a fun Worlds, and we hope to bring you guys more VGC content in the future. Later.